The head of the FBI is chugging beers at the Olympics, posting like an influencer, all while firing federal agents who investigated Donald Trump. This is not just a criticism coming from left wing people. Right wing podcasters are finally saying, we're hitting a breaking point. This administration is a joke. It is clearly not about justice. This administration is all about loyalty. Let's talk about Keystone Cash. According to an article from Mediaite, Andrew Schulz, who supported Trump in 2024, blasted FBI Director Kash Patel on his podcast after Patel's viral Olympic appearance. Schulz called the behavior selfish, said that Patel turned what could have been a unifying sports moment into a culture war spectacle, and essentially said that he's a loser that's just looking for attention. Let's hear what Andrew Schulz had to say specifically.
Flight for
How
sure.
the Kash
slopes of them.
the Kash Patel thing is so annoying because it's just like, can you just let them have a fucking victory? You know, the second it's so selfish. Like the second you insert yourself in the room, it becomes culture war.
Yeah.
And it's like, let America have this great victory. These guys played their fucking asses off. It's a dream win for the men's and the women's team. If you're in the locker room drinking beers because you're a big hockey fan, it's this completely selfish endeavor that puts these guys under the microscope, right? Like instead of being somebody we could all celebrate, if they're treating Kash as if he's like one of the guys, now everybody just goes, look at these pieces of shit, not judging Kash Patel for being there and all the things that he's been supporting. It's just like, just stay the fuck out of it. You just stay the fuck out of it.
He's corny, bro.
Who, Kash?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're saying the guy who wanted to be the FBI director is corny? He's saying the guy who wanted to spy on people for a living is not a cool guy?
I just don't like this. He's always, he wants too much attention. Like, just be behind shit and lock up criminals.
Yeah. Also, I don't like them having a life.
Yeah.
Like anybody that like has like little hobbies and shit, like I don't really got enough time to be part of it.
Yeah. Be respectful. Do that shit in private, like on Epstein's Island or something like that. But like,
there was an island.
Yeah. I don't want to see that shit.
Again, Andrew Schulz is not some CNN pundit. He's not a Democrat cheerleader or defender. This is the same base that got Trump into the White House. Trump relies on these apolitical spaces that have a right-wing bent, like Andrew Schulz podcasts. So the fact that Andrew's already reached a breaking point, and he said on previous podcast episodes that ICE's conduct is making him question the validity of Trump's claims that they need to have a strong stance on immigration, that Trump is continuing to just erode the Constitution and pretend like he doesn't have checks and balances. All of this is a warning sign that Trump is losing a majority of the base that did propel him to victory. When your own base starts calling you out, it's not a media spin or a political narrative. It is literally a warning that you are losing power. Andrew Schulz was not the only person who criticized Kash Patel, which is what prompted Kash to actually come out with the response to the criticism. He said that he was in Italy for very important matters relating to his job. The FBI director, the head, needed to go to Italy for very important business. Interesting. Well, this article from Mediaite shows the exact opposite. This is where the optics get even worse. Kash Patel's Olympic schedule included 2 hockey games and hours of personal time and cultural activities, coming from reports. His schedule for Saturday lists one 20-minute briefing with the Olympic security team, along with half-hour tour of the Joint Security Operations Center, capped by a private lunch with an unspecified guest. The period between 2 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. was reserved for what he listed as personal time and cultural activities, followed by a private dinner with unspecified companions. Mr. Patel's Sunday schedule listed only 2 events: the gold medal game between the United States and Canada, followed by a 7 p.m. flight back to the East Coast, a more than 4,000-mile round trip that would typically cost tens of thousands of dollars. This is U.S. taxpayer money, by the way, to fund Kash Patel's little vacations that he calls a work trip. Keep in mind that these are the same people, these Republican officials, that criticized government workers for working from home, working remote, and they're taking tens of thousands of dollars of taxpayer money to do these funded vacations. Who's really the corrupt ones here? The mom who works for a federal judge working remote, who might do laundry in between her meetings? Or fucking Kash Patel, who's going to Italy with unspecified guests for private dinners, probably charging thousands of dollars on the U.S. taxpayer dime. Look, I'm not saying that government officials shouldn't be able to have downtime, but when you're posting videos to your social media accounts of you slanging beers, chugging them, and spraying champagne everywhere with the Olympic team, you don't really look like a dignified federal official. You look like a sports influencer. That's a problem. And that challenges the credibility of how seriously you take your job. And what makes it even more outrageous is there's serious stuff happening on home soil. You are the head of the FBI. There are many crimes that you need to account for. You need to make sure that the Epstein files actually get released to the public. Why is that not a concern of yours? Furthermore, while Patel was making viral moments pretending to be a sports influencer, back in Washington, he reportedly ordered the firing of at least 10 FBI employees connected to investigations of Donald Trump. This article from the Daily Beast is titled Keystone Cash Fires Agents in Revenge for Probing Him. According to the Daily Beast, some of those agents worked on cases related to Trump's handling of classified documents. And here's the key detail. Those investigations previously involved subpoenas for Patel's own phone records. The FBI Agents Association publicly condemned these firings, warning that political retaliation against career personnel undermines due process and weakens the Bureau's independence. Remember, during his confirmation hearing, Patel promised that the FBI employees would be protected from political retribution. Now, agents tied to Trump investigations are openly being pushed out and fired. That's not a perception problem. It is a governance problem. It is bad leadership from Keystone Cash Patel. Patel's firings are part of an effort to push out agents who worked on Trump-related investigations. Shortly after Trump took office again, CNN reported that the FBI had given the Justice Department a list of 5,000 agents who worked on January 6 related investigations. Around that time, some FBI agents who feared retaliation sued to try to prevent the Justice Department from making such lists. Patel claimed during his confirmation hearing that all FBI employees would be protected against political retribution. So that was a fucking lie. The role of the head of the FBI is intentionally supposed to be boring. It is supposed to be neutral, it is supposed to be quiet, and it is supposed to be institutional. This is not what it should look like. We should not be seeing heads of the FBI slinging beers back. It's not that he drank a beer. Again, it's that he's chugging beer and screaming with his bros while he's the head of the arguably, most important investigative agency in the entire country. The entire legitimacy of the Bureau is dependent on the public believing that these investigations are based on evidence, not partisan political persecutions. And that makes it difficult when you are a wannabe sports influencer slanging beers. It looks like a partisan personality, and it erodes trust on both sides. For years, Republicans have argued that the FBI was intentionally weaponized against Donald Trump. That claim fueled investigations, hearings, and political campaigns. But now, agents who worked on Trump, anyone that was critical, are being removed from the institutions. Investigations tied to Trump allies are being scrutinized internally, and the director appears more focused on loyalty optics and seeing who's the true MAGA instead of institutional independence. And if weaponization was wrong before, it should still be wrong now. Accountability can't just be a partisan angle depending on who's in the White House at what period of time. Either the FBI is independent or it's political. There isn't a middle option. This type of behavior cannot be normalized. People in the most powerful positions in the country should not be acting like wannabe influencers. Because once the public believes that investigations are dependent on who you support politically, that damage doesn't just stay with one administration. People aren't just going to be skeptical of the Trump admin. It will stick to the institution itself. That erodes public trust. That erodes people believing that any sort of justice can happen in this country. And that is not sustainable long term.